Hey guys, what's up? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another bit of a collection video, because today we're taking a look at these DC Universe classic action figures, and I really love these figures, which is why I'm making this video. DC have had a few action figure lines. Currently it's McFarlane making all of the DC action figures, and I do like them for the most part, but a big problem I've always said when I've been reviewing those figures is they're just a bit too big for me. Scale wise, they're too tall, they're too bulky, and I much prefer figures that are closer to the Marvel Legends scale. So for comparison here is the Amazing Friends Spidey, and you can see these DC Icons figures are standing a lot more Marvel Legends sized, and these figures came out for quite a while, and then we had like DC Essentials and a lot of the artist runs. There have been a lot of different DC figure runs the last decade or so, but these are some of my favourite. I don't know why. As you can see, they all share the exact same body mold, but I like that. I really like this body mold. I don't know if there's something nostalgic about it, but it's simple. I like the style of it, and I think it works well for all of these characters, and so I've made it a bit of a mission of mine to get at least one of my favourite DC characters on this body mold. I really wanted to get Shazam. There's the DC Universe classic Shazam action figure, which, as you've guessed it, comes on this exact same body mold but with the Shazam design. And yeah, I really wanted to pick that up. There was one on eBay like a month ago for 25 quid, and I didn't jump at it. It sold, and I've not seen another one since. So yeah, some of these are kind of hard to come across, I think, basically just with the age of them at this point. But they are good figures. I wanted to take a closer look at each one of these in this video, and so that's what we're going to do. Before we jump into it, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of these DC Universe classic action figures. What's your favourite DC run of figures? Is it the current McFarlane figures? Is it the Essentials? Is it the Icons line? Or is it this one here? Because I like these, especially at this point. They're fairly cheap to pick up on eBay. Cool style, nice proportions. Yeah, I like these ones here. Let me know what you guys think. While you're down there, guys, if you could do me a massive favour, as always, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button. And let's not wait any longer. Let's take a closer look at these action figures. So let's start off with this Superman action figure, and the reason I wanted to start with this one is it's easily the worst one out of this bunch. Not because of anything going on originally with the figure, but just because of the second-hand madness going on with this thing. Picked this up dead cheap on eBay, and I was pretty stoked because I had my eye out for the kind of classic looking Superman on this mold for a while. I had the mullet version over here, and these weren't cheap, definitely closer to the £30 mark, because a good Superman action figure turns out isn't that easy to come across, especially for a cheap price. A lot of them look kind of goofy unless you're going for the kind of more expensive import figures. For a kind of classic DC Superman figure, this looks one of the best in my opinion anyway. I did get, I think it was the DC Icon Superman, and the face sculpt was just a bit, I don't know if it was a misprint, but it wasn't great. I think this is a great standard looking Superman, and yeah, you pay the price for it. However, this popped up super cheap and I jumped at it, and when he arrived I realised why. This arm doesn't move at all. It is completely glued in place from the shoulder here to the bicep, and even the single jointed elbow here. It is all glued apart from the wrist, so there is no movement in there, which isn't the worst. It's in a good neutral pose, but yeah, isn't great. This arm here, the bicep, came off. I think it was glued, but the glue just wasn't that strong, so this came off when I was playing around with them. The single jointed elbow moves and the wrist moves as well, the shoulder moves, but yeah, no movement in the upper biceps, so you kind of just need to find a neutral pose in the arms there for Superman to pull the pose off. Moves around in the waist, you get the leg articulation, but the leg is kind of warped as well, as you can see in his left leg there. So yeah, this figure wasn't in the best of quality, but it's still alright. I really like the look of him overall. I like the yellow Superman logo on the back. I do wish it was a bit bigger. I think it's a bit small in proportion to the rest of the cape, but I do like it. I like the logo being on the back there. Good logo in the front, great size, good style and everything. I like the blue and the red they've used in this, the yellow as well. I think all the colours pop, the skin tone's really good, the head sculpt's great, especially for an older figure. I think this is a really good Superman figure. It's just a shame that this one has been through the wars, and yeah, that's the kind of staple of DC, right, is Superman and Batman. So I guess we'll jump into a Batman next, and we'll go for this one here because we've seen this one before in the channel for sure, especially in comparison videos. Now, as I was saying about McFarlane figures just being a lot bigger than these figures here, and to be honest, pretty much every figure out in the market, here is a McFarlane figure next to these guys, and I just saved them from falling. So yeah, you can see how much bigger McFarlane actually is in scale, just not only in height, but the proportions, the bulkiness and everything. I mean, the Dark Knight Returns is a bit smaller in height, to be fair. If it was like a movie figure, he's probably going to be hitting the top of the screen there. So I do much prefer the size of these figures once again. But this is a great Batman. I absolutely love this figure. This could be one of my favourite Batman figures. And I don't know why, because it's dead simple, but it just looks the part. Great head sculpt, got the white eyes. I like the length of the ears and everything. Good sculpted kind of skull going on. Got the nice yellow logo, and then it's just the classic kind of Keaton Batman Returns look to this figure. You've got the yellow utility belt with just the wee capsules there, got a nice belt buckle, and it's just all black. I love the fins on the gauntlets there. This thing just looks great. I absolutely love it, and I got this thing dirt cheap in a bundle. I can't even remember what figure it was I was buying, but this thing just came along with it. It wasn't even this figure that I was going for at the time. So yeah, I was really stoked. I love the cape. I think the cape looks great. And it's the same sort of cape they use on all the Batman figures here. There's a lot of variants of the DC Universe Classic Batman figures. We'll take a look at another one in a minute. But this is probably my favourite just because it reminds me of the Keaton movies so much. It looks the part, got all the articulation here, nothing glued together. You've got the upper bicep swivels, single jointed elbow, wrist rotate. The ab crunch is very weak, not a lot of movement in that at all. Works better on other figures. This one's very minimum, but it's there. Move around at the waist, and you've got all the articulation in the legs there. So this is a great Batman figure. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the early movies. Talking about variants, there's a couple figures here which aren't actually DC Universe classic action figures, so let's just get a closer look at them, get them out the road. The reason I've included this one is because I just bought it. I went to go see The Dark Knight Returns, and well, I went to go see the full Dark Knight trilogy. Obviously it's just incredible, as it's always been. I think it's held up fairly well. There's a couple things that's, I don't know, a bit funny I suppose, but it's still one of my favourite trilogies. I think Lord of the Rings is the #1 best trilogy of all time, probably will be forever, and I think in the second place for best trilogies is The Dark Knight. I think it is absolutely incredible. I think it's amazing cinema. and I love all the characters in it, and I love the figures they released for that film. We've actually taken a closer look at them previously on the channel in a bit of a collection video, and I was missing Catwoman. I'm definitely missing a couple more, like John Blake and Alfred. Those are two figures I'd definitely pick up if I came across them for a good price, and I came across this Catwoman for a good price after I'd seen the trilogy, and so yeah, I picked her up. She's not great. The likeness to Anne Hathaway isn't really there. I mean, they've got the colour of her hair down, but and a female sculpt, but there's not much of a resemblance there. But it's a nice figure. It's not amazing. I think the hair looks good from the back there. I like the cat ears up here. I think the costume looks good, but the arms and the hands are awful, man. Like, yeah, they are tiny. Our hands are absolutely minuscule. You can see it in the white background there, how small the hands are. It looks a bit stupid, I think. But overall, I mean, she looks good. But yeah, when you look at the hands, it's kind of like, yikes. I like the boots with the silver heels at the back. Yeah, it's an okay figure, especially for a cheap price. I wouldn't spend too much money on it. But yeah, happy to add Catwoman from the Dark... Did I say the Dark Knight Returns earlier? Definitely meant to say the Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, I thought we'd take a quick look at it since I just bought it. And then this figure here, holy moly, man, this thing's been through the wars. I got this thing when I was probably... It might have a date on it, but I reckon I was probably like 5 years old when I got this figure. I can't see it says on the figure anywhere. But yeah, I remember getting this figure and I was probably about 5 to 6 years old. I think I got it in Woolworths, and it's quite funny because I remember this one was sitting right next to a variant. It was a grey and blue Batman, and it had a smaller kind of capsuled utility belt. Don't think it had the black pants. And the logo might have been the yellow logo. I can't quite remember, but it was basically the choice between the grey and black and the grey and blue Batman, and I'm so happy I picked this one here. I think this one stood the test of time a bit better. I've seen the blue one pop up on eBay now and again, and yeah, it just doesn't look as good. I think this thing looks pretty damn decent for like a standard Batman, and the reason we're looking at it here is because it's very similar to these DC icon, I keep on saying DC icons, DC Universe classic figures, but it's not got all the articulation. This thing's a lot more kind of standard kids toy compared to here, just with the articulation. There's no upper bicep, no single jointed elbow. You can move the gauntlets around. These are a bit rubbery as well. Move it in the upper arm. No ab crunch at all. You can move it around at the waist, get the leg kicking forward, and there's a single jointed knee. Nothing in the feet area. I love the tread at the bottom of the foot. I love how they've put detail right at the bottom of the foot. But yeah, that's it for the figure. Not much articulation at all. It was probably dirt cheap. You get the nice cloth cape, nice cut at the bottom. This is a decent cheap figure, you know, and I've had this thing all my life pretty much, and I absolutely love it. I love how it's still in decent condition for how much I've played with this thing. I mean, I have played with this thing rotten. It should be in bits, but it has stood the test of time, and I thought I'd show it off here in this video. And so going back to the DC Classics figures, let's take a look at an actual good condition Superman here. This thing is in good nick, and it is definitely my favourite Superman figure in the collection. I love the long hair. I think it looks so badass. Like, he looks like an absolute G. I love this figure so much. The hairstyle is on point. You can see it right at the back, the shading going through, there's a bit of blue in the hair. It looks amazing, and then the rest of the figure is the exact same we've seen before. I think this cape looks a bit different. Nah, it's the exact same. Yeah, the yellow logo could be a wee bit bigger or a wee bit further down the cape. I think it would look a bit better, but Still like it. Got the nice big chest logo here. I love the dark royal blue, the red, the yellow. The colours work so well, and this thing's fully articulated. I've had a lot of fun taking pictures with this. You get the ab crunch with a wee bit more movement than that Batman that we've seen earlier, which I really like. And yeah, this is my favourite Superman figure. It looks the part, it's got all the working parts. Yeah, this thing's awesome. I highly recommend. I can't remember how much this cost me, probably around the £20 mark, and it's worth it for me. And then, as I said at the start, I kind of wanted to pick up at least one of each of the big DC characters in this DC classic action figure form, and of course Green Lantern is a DC staple, and I didn't have any Green Lantern figures in the collection whatsoever. And for quite a while I was just going to pick up like a McFarlane Green Lantern figure, but then I was like, what's the point if I really don't like the scale and the proportions and everything? And so I went down the DC Universe Classics line, and there's a couple variants of this figure. This one's the shiny variant, and then you just get the kind of normal matte variant. And of course I had to go shiny for Green Lantern. I think it works a lot better for this character. You get a shiny version of the Flash, which looks good, but when I think of the Flash, this is more accurate to his kind of comic costume. But then Green Lantern's of course got the whole kind of shiny vibe going on for him, so I think the shiny variant of this figure should just kind of be the standard. And it works incredibly well here. It pops so nicely, the green and the black. When that light hits it, it looks incredible. I mean, this is a great Green Lantern figure. As I said, I just love the body mold in general. It works most of the time, and so getting a character like Green Lantern, you know, you can't go wrong. You've got the ring on the finger there. Yeah, this thing looks great. The head sculpt's decent. I mean, it's not amazing. It just looks like a kind of standard guy with the Green Lantern mask on. But yeah, the costume looks so good. I absolutely love it. Big fan of this figure, and it was dirt cheap as well. I think this was probably like a tenner. So yeah, really happy with this addition. Wanted a Green Lantern figure, and this is the perfect one for me. And as I said, I'm still wanting to expand on my collection here. I definitely want to get Shazam. I don't know if there's really anyone else after Shazam that I'll be hunting for. Like, I am just specifically on the lookout for Shazam just now, and then I'd be happy with this overall collection. For the DC characters, I should probably get some villains. You definitely get a DC Universe Classics Joker, Lex Luthor, things like that. I'm not too bothered about like Lex Luthor, but Joker would be cool. I don't really need a Joker, but yeah, we'll see. But Shazam's the main one, and yeah, I'm happy to have ticked off Green Lantern. And then the one that I was on the lookout for the longest time was the Flash here. This guy is not cheap. A lot of folk wanting about £30 to £35 for this Flash figure. It might just be because of the movie coming out, but I've been on the lookout for like a month or two. Once again, I've got I've got two Flash figures in the collection. One's from the CW series from season 1, and the other one's the McFarlane comic Flash figure, and I don't really rate that figure at all. So wanted a DC Universe Classics figure, and finally got this one here for about £20, which is the price of a McFarlane figure. You know, a new McFarlane figure is the same price as a second-hand older figure, but for me it's totally worth it because I much prefer this figure right here. I much prefer this body mold, the size of it, the articulation and everything works for me. So yeah, I really wanted Flash on this mold, and it's worth it, man. I think this thing looks great. I love the costume here, all the wee bits and pieces on the boots, and you get it on the head here. Thankfully this one wasn't broken. You do get a lot missing, the ear bits and the boot bits, but these things, this one here is in good condition, and I'm really stoked, man, to finally get a Flash figure I can pose around and add to this collection of DC characters. yeah, I just need Shazam. I'm keen. I wish I got that one a month ago, but yeah, it was a bit expensive. Great movement here. You can see how this articulated bit in the chest should work. I mean, great range of movement there. It's just a shame that it doesn't work as well on all the other figures. But yeah, just the same in the arms and the legs and everything. This one's a wee bit loose, but not too bad at all, especially for the age of these things. So yeah, I love the Flash on these DC Universe figures and highly recommend. I love the chest logo in the middle there. I think the face sculpt actually looks really good as well. So yeah, that leaves us with this variant of Batman, and I just left this one to last because I mean this is a kind of standard classic look for Batman, and this is DC Icon's version of this Batman. So we've got the grey and black suit, similar to what we saw earlier with this cheaper kind of more kid friendly version, I suppose, but this one is a kind of mashup between that figure and then the kind of Michael Keaton looking DC Universe classic figure. So as I said, lots of variants for Batman. You get the blue and grey Nightfall variant, which has the yellow logo with a rip through it. Lots of cool looking Batman figures from this line. The crunch is a bit better on this one as well. I think just that kind of Michael Keaton looking one was a bit of a dud when it came to the chest articulation, but yeah, all the articulation is the same on this figure here, but we've got the different colours and it works just amazingly. Once again, I love the cape, love the sculpt of it, love the way it sits. Head sculpt looks great, love the chest logo, love the colours. There's really just nothing to complain about, and that is why I love this line. It's standard, it's simple, but it's so effective. I think it works well for all the characters. It's a bit dated, but it's nostalgic, man, and there's a certain magic to this line that is held up for me, and that's why I'm still buying them. It's kind of like buying the old Toy Biz figures for me. They still hold up in a way, and I love the look of them. And they're great to pose around and play with and integrate into the older Toy Biz figures. These things work great with the old Toy Biz Marvel Legends figures, so if you're wanting crossovers, these things work well. And you can't say that about McFarlane and the current Marvel Legends, you know, like the scales are just completely off. So that's why I just love this line. It gives a lot of fun factor for me, a lot of playability, and they just look the part. So when they're sitting there in your collection, you're gonna be happy. And that's it for this video. We've taken a look at all the figures that I have here in the collection at the moment. As I said, I'm looking to grow that collection, and hopefully I'll get Shazam soon, fingers crossed. But for the time being, this is it. Let me know what you guys think of these figures down in the comments section below. While you're down there, guys, as always, if you could do me a massive favour, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button. I'll leave the link to my Instagram in the description below, where you can see a lot of these figures posted up over there. So it'd mean a lot to me if you could check that out. It means a lot to me that you've checked this video out right here. Feel free to hop on over to the channel page. There are plenty of other figure reviews and collection videos, sticker pack openings and all sorts going on over on the channel. So it would be awesome if you could hop on over there and check out some of my other videos. With that all being said, guys, once again, thank you so much for watching this video right here. And as always, I'll catch yous on the flip flop later. Cheers.